Okay, welcome back, everybody, with my brave audience over here who is with me to get ahead so we don't have a staggering amount to learn on Motzi Yom Tov, which is always Ezel Chacham Harayas Anoilad, who is wise, one who sees the future. So now we are holding Ad Masay Mutar Lahachzer at how long can, if I make a purchase from Shelley, and he cheats me with that devilish look in his face, right? So how long do I have to claim a refund, right? So, Ad Masay Mutar Lahachzer, 4 lines from the bottom of Daf Nun Amud Beis, Amar Rav Nachman, Lo yishanu ela lekeach. It's only the buyer, that's me, who is, no. I'm not surprised. She's very engrossed in shiurim. No, thank you though. So Amar Rav Nachman lo yishanu ela lekeach. It's only the buyer that Shelley ripped off, that's me, that has that small window. Aval moicher, but the seller, if he was undercharged, l'olam kaiser, he could back out whenever he wants. I mean, he could ask for a voiding of a sale or a refund whenever he wants. No. Name a Messiah. So the Gemara says, let's adduce a proof. So again, we're going back to the Tagrei Lud. Chazru l'divrei chachamim. They went back to the divrei chachamim instead of a third, a sixth, but only till time to show it to a merchant. If it's true that the seller always can ask for avoidance, mishum hachi chazru. Because of that, they said, no, we don't want to give the buyer such a large window. We'll go back to a sixth instead of a third. But if it's a protection for the seller, just like for the buyer, then my nafkalomina. Then what's the difference if it's added from a small window of time it takes to the merchant to a larger window of the whole day? Just like it's a bigger window for the buyer, it's a bigger window for the seller too. So it shouldn't bother them because it's good for both. Says the Gemara, no. Tagrei Lud lo shliach the toe. They don't need the protection because the merchants of Lud were very savvy and they didn't make mistakes often. So they didn't need this protection. And therefore, when there was given a bigger window for the buyer, they said, you know what, a bigger window for the buyer we don't want. We'll go back from a third to a sixth. Now the Gemara tells us some stories. Story time. Ushpezichnei de Rami Bar Chama, the host of Rami Bar Chama, Zavin Chamra, he sold wine to Yitzi, Vita, and he made a mistake. He charged Yitzi too little. So Ashkechei Dava Otzev, Rami Bar Chama saw that his host was sad. Amalei, so he said to him, Amayatzivas, why are you sad? Amalei, so he says, Zivine Chamra, I sold wine, Vitai, and I undercharged. Amalei, so he said, Zilhadaba, go get it back. Amalei, so he said he was a bit of a Talmud Chacham. Amalei hashoy liyos michdei she'er l'tager l'kroivai. I waited too long. I waited more than the time to show it to a merchant or a relative. So Shadrei the Kabbalah Rav Nachman, he sent the case to Rav Nachman. Amalei, he says, no, you could ask for a refund because lo yishanu ela lekech. We only gave that window for the buyer. Aval moicher l'olam chayzer. But the seller could ask for a refund even for longer time. Now, you might wonder, why is that the case? Even Shelley, who swindled me, is giving me this queer look. Why should that be the case? If anything, the seller should get less time because he should know the price, right? So Shelley, he doesn't want to say anything, but it really. So the Gemara says, "My timer," because like keach mikhay biyadai, the buyer has the merchandise in his hand, and therefore he could show it to people and say, "What is this worth?" Wherever he goes, he could show it and say, "What's this worth?" And they'll tell him if he made a mistake or not. But Meicher, he already sold it. So Meicher, he doesn't have it anymore in his hand, right? Rich doesn't have the chess set in his hand. It takes the time until he goes in a mall and he sees them selling the chess set. And he says, "What was I crazy? Look what they're selling it for." And then and therefore he's given an indeterminable amount of time. Now,
indeterminate.
Okay, why indeterminable is no good?
I don't know if there's such a word.
Huh?
I have in Safari, it was a donkey that his landlord sold.
Yeah, but the mice is it's wine.
Indeterminate is an adjective.
Yes, it's nice that Safari says that, but Lamaisa is Lamaisa is the Artsko says wine. I'm going to go with Artsko. Let's see if we could bring proof to that. Okay, I don't see any proof on the page in the Rishonim.
Might be easier to compare wine to wine than donkeys.
Anyway, says in Vaita, Hau Gavra, Davinoket Varshike Zvune. There was a man that was holding silk ribbons to sell. So let's see who would do this. Okay, Mel. Mel is selling some silk ribbons. So Kari Shita, he called out that he's selling it for 6. Vishavya Chamsha. It's worth 5. So now I knew that Mel is overcharging. So I knew that if I would say 5.5, so then I wouldn't be able to get him on overcharging. So it'll be Mechila. So Namai says Mel would have taken 5.5. However, if I would give him 5.5, have a shocker. He would have taken it. But you see, also Gavra, I came and listened to my thought process. I said, look, if I give him 5.5, I have no recourse to ask him because less than a 6th is mechila. Have you mechila? You know what? I want the ribbons. They're nice ribbons. I want to bring it home to my wife. Etan le shita, I'll give him 6, and then va'atve ladina, I'll schlep him to Bezdin, and I'll get a refund. So also the Kamid Rava. So I came before Rava. Amalei. So Rava says, you're not getting no refund. That's only if you buy from a merchant. Mel is not a merchant. But if you buy from a homeowner loves his merchandise. What are you talking about? His wife made these ribbons. And it's understood that a homeowner will charge more for his product. So that's only like Tager, a homeowner loves his merchandise, his own stuff, and he doesn't part with it unless you pay through the nose. Says the Gemara, Amalei Rav Dimi. So Rav Dimi said, Yasher. I skipped. There's another case that the Gemara brings down. How Gavrid Avanakit Kipe. Mel was selling earrings. Lizvune. Kari Shitin, he called out 60. Vishavi Chamshin, and it was worth 50. Somebody would have given him 55, Avishakal, he would take it. So again, also Gavra, what happened over here is Jay came. V'amar and Jay, you could hear the fire burning in Jay's head. If I give him 55, I'm not going to get anything back. It's less than a 6. Have you mechila? Asin lei shitten, I'm going to give him 60. So now he overcharged me a sixth of the purchase price, and I'll get the 10 back in court. V'atvei ladine. So also the Kamid Rav Chisda. So Jay took Mel to court. Amalei. So they told Jay, nothing doing. That's only if you buy it in a tagger from a merchant. But if you buy it from a homeowner, he loves his earrings. He's not giving it up except for a higher markup. That's correct. I asked the Gemara of Anan Tanan, we learned, just like there's overcharge for a commoner, so man hedyet, who's a commoner, lav balabayis. So you see that there is overcharge also when a guy like Mel sells it. Amar Rav Chisda, no, that's only bitsadraisa. That's only if Mel is selling hemp. Now hemp is not something that Mel gets attached to. So therefore, you don't think that he's going to overcharge for it. Aval money tashmishte, but if Mel has a chess set that his parents used that chess set, the akire atle, that's something precious to him. We have to understand that it has sentimental value. He's not selling it for more than market price, and therefore you can't have a claim of Aina. Okay, just getting underway over here on a rare Thursday marathon. As we get ahead for Yom Tov, just consider this as an investment, Rabbi Isai. It's a little harder now, but boy, is it easier later. Because Rich says to do 3 blat on Motzei Yom Tov, even he would find that a little bit hard. It would be reminiscent of April 14th. So now, says the Mishnah, how are we doing so far? Yeah? Okay, Rich said go for 33. Now, yeah, everybody, talk is cheap.
It's very good situation.
Yeah, okay. Both the buyer and the seller can claim fraud. Just like there's a claim of fraud with a commoner, there's also fraud for a merchant. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer ein oina litager. Now we'll see that Rabbi Yehuda holds that a merchant, there can be no claim if he wants to say that he was undercharged, because that he was underpaid, because he knows the price. If he sold it, he's selling it because he needs cash in order to buy something even more remarkable. Mi shehutal alav, the one who is imposed on, yadai al ha'elyona, he has the upper hand. Ratza amalei tainli ma'osai. In the case of the buyer, he could say either return me my money, Oitainli mash any sunny, or give me a refund of what you overcharged me. So the Gemara says, how do we know that both the buyer and the seller can claim fraud? Minanimili, the Tanur Rabbanan, it says in the pasuk, when you sell, I'll tell you, don't cheat. So that means that you can't cheat the buyer. I only know if the buyer is cheated. And how do we know if the seller is underpaid? That's also oina. Or when purchasing altonu, as a purchaser, don't cheat the seller. We have to say that there's cheating for the buyer, and we have to say that there's cheating for the seller. That the seller should not cheat, mishum de kimle bezvinte, because he knows the merchandise. But the buyer who doesn't know the merchandise, the Torah doesn't warn him not to underpay. How does he know the prices? I might think that the Torah doesn't warn him, Kamash Malan, it does. The buyer. Well, the buyer, you see, the Gemara is now going to advance an interesting attitude to money. Money is easily squandered. You play a few dollars here, a few dollars there. Money just flies out of your hand. So putting it instead in a piece of merchandise, there your money has a kiyum. You bought yourself a Zera Shimshon. Now you have, So says the Gemara, I might say that the buyer, since he benefits by having now an asset, Mishum de Kakani, he got a gain. The Imre Inche Zovnis Kanisa. When you buy something, you acquire more than money which is easily squandered. Aval Meicher, who's losing merchandise, the Avude Kamayvid, the Imre Inche Zovin Ovid, one who suffers a loss because now he loses something of permanence. Maybe they don't give him the warning of not to cheat. Sricha, that both are warned not to cheat. Rabbi Yehuda says, Ein ono l'tager. There's no overcharging for a merchant. Says the Gemara, Mishum shu tager, because he's a merchant, Ein lo oina. Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rav, betager safser. It's talking about a merchant who's a flipper. He buys and he sells. He buys and he sells. So you can't say that he doesn't know the price, because he buys and sells, so he knows, he's very aware of the price. My time, made the others of intake kamashavia, and therefore, why did he undercharge? He did that deliberately. He waived it. That which he undercharged is mishum disramile zvinte achrina. He had a better buy to buy, a killer buy. He found a Topps 1950 baseball card that he needs the money to grab. And now, when he saw he couldn't get the card, somebody outbid him, so now he wants to back out. Rav Ashi Amar Mai Ein L'Tager Eina Eina B'Teiras Eina. No, there he's not bound by a sixth. He could void the sale even if he's undercharged less than a sixth. Sha'afilu Pachas Mikdei Eina Chayzer. Why? Because it's his livelihood. I'm buying from Rich one time, okay? But Rich is selling, for his livelihood. So there we give him protection even for less than a sixth. Tani Kavasi to Rav Nachman. We have a riot to Rav Nachman's pshat. Rabbi Yehuda Imer Tager Ein Lo Yaina. Why? Mimnei Shabaki. He buys and he sells. He knows the price. He can't claim that he was cheated by being underpaid. He could say, I don't want that. He knows the price. Now, okay. We're definitely going to finish before Shacharis, Rabbi say. Now is, yeah. Maybe not now. Maybe not.
There's no concept that it's worth it to me to pay quote unquote more, because it's sitting on, if it had been marked down to the normal price, I wouldn't have had a chance to buy it. It would have been gone before I got to the store. Because it was priced higher, it's still there, and I.
Well, that
that
kind of stuff dictates the market price. Then the price legally goes up. See, we're going to learn more about that. In other words, what you just said is if it's a hot item, if it's a Cabbage Patch doll, you're willing to pay more because it's not available, then the actual price will go up.
Or it should maybe not be, but it's just worth more to me. I need a gift for my wife. I can go running around, I want to buy this now and go home.
Okay, so then you won't void the sale.
Right.
So that's fine.
Oh.
Then you won't void the sale.
Right.
Now, Mi shehutal alav yadai hal yayin. The one who is cheated has the upper hand. So now, if you remember, Yitzi said why it says Rabbi Yehuda Nasi and not Rebbe. I told him it was before he was recognized as Rabban Shel Kol Klal Yisrael. We had a machloikis between Reb Nosson and Reb Yehuda. Just let's refer back to that. That Reb Nosson said that if it's less than a shtus, the sale is void. There's mechila. If it's a shtus, if it's a shtus, the sale goes through, and just the overcharge or the undercharge is refunded. If it's more than a shtus, the sale is voided. That was the opinion of Reb Nosson. Reb Yehuda Nasi says that the hand of the seller is always at the upper hand, meaning that if the seller is underpaid, he could say, give me back the merchandise, or give me the difference. So now we learned in our Mishnah that mi shehutal yadai al yaina, one who is opposed upon has the upper hand. So mani masnisan, it would seem to be loy Rabbi Nosson v'loy Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. It would seem to be neither like Reb Nosson nor like Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, because Reb Nosson, if it's going according to Reb Nosson, masnisan ketani ratza. Here, our Mishnah says that if it's a sixth, that's oina is a sixth. Our Mishnah says that he could either claim to void the sale or to claim a refund. Or Braisa like Tani Ratza. But in the Braisa, Reb Nosson just says that you return the refund. It doesn't say you could void the sale. And Reb Yehuda Nasi, Masnisin Ketani, the Mishnah says that the one that's opposed upon, Yadei Alel Yaina. And Ketani, and since it gives an example of in the Mishnah of, since it says an example of either give me my money or give me give me back my money or give me what you cheated me, obviously we're talking about the buyer because he wants his money back. And the Braisa, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, says the seller. Braisa Ketani Meicher. So the Gemara gives different answers. First, the Gemara says, you're right. The opinion in our Mishnah, I don't know who the author is. Amar Rabbi Lazar, Ainazu, the opinion of our Mishnah, in Yodea Mishana. I don't know whose opinion is. Rav Amar La'olam Reb Nosson. And you're right. In the Braisa, he says that a shtus is you returned Aina, we should amend it. V'tani nami braisa rotza. And say in the braisa that a shtus, you have a choice. Either take the refund or void the sale. Rava Amalaylam Reb Yudan Nasi. Rava says it's really Reb Yudan Nasi. Or my desire b'masnisan, that which it leaves out in the Mishnah. Our Mishnah gives an example of the Lekeach. Kamafarish b'braisa. Reb Yudan Nasi says in the braisa the example of the Meicher. But either way, the one that's imposed upon has the choice, has the upper hand. Amar Rav Ashi Dekanami. It says whether the buyer or the seller, and it explains as an example the buyer. Shmamina that shiure shaire l'meicher. It left out the example of the seller, but it refers to both if the buyer was overcharged or if the seller was undercharged. Shmamina. Now, we know that we have a klal in Shas that Hamas now Mashikosa b'Torah Tuna Ibatel. That if you try to stipulate on what it says in the Torah, the condition is batel. So the example of this would be if a man, a chevraman, there's nobody so dastardly here on the Zoom, so we'll have to use Chatzkel. Chatzkel says to Cheryl, I'm a kaddish you on the condition that you have no claim for me for Sheira Ksusa and Oinas. You have no claim for me for sustenance, clothing, or intimacy. So Rameir says she's Mekudeshes, and he has to give her Sheira Ksusa Vainasa, because Sheira Ksusa Vainasa is written in the Torah, and he's mas now mashikasa b'Torah to know about it. So they're married, but he has to provide her Sheira Ksusa Vainasa. There is another opinion, I believe it's Rabbi Yehuda, who says, no, she's Mekudeshes, and by Dover Shebamamoin, the Tanai is kind. So therefore he doesn't have to give her sustenance, and he doesn't have to give her food. Intimacy, which is not a Dover Shebamamoin, that he has to give her. So now, the Gemara is going to say, what happens in a case over here, where a shyster like Yisrael says to me, Rabbi Weiss, I'm selling you this chess set on the condition that there's no ayna. I should have ran out of the door. I should have headed for the hills. I should say Tannersville is not for me. Right? So what's the din? So let's see.
So you could have pleasure from it?
1 second. Let's learn the Gemara inside. It's not so bad. It's only an hour and 5 minutes, Now, excuse me, Philippe, let me learn. So, Itmar. And if you lost a place like me, 5 lines from the bottom of Daf Nun Aleph Amen Aleph, when you say, Ana Hashem Hatzlicha Na, ask for prosperity because of Daf Nun Aleph. Ana Hashem Hatzlicha Na. So says the Gemara, Itmar. If Yisrael says to his friend, that's me, I'm selling you this chess set on the condition that there's no ayna. Rav says I could still demand that he overcharged me because he's mas now mashikosa b'Torah. V'shmuel ein lo ayna. No, there's no overcharge. So the Gemara says, Lema Rav Damak Reb Meir, V'shmuel Damak Reb Yehuda. It seems to be Rav holds like Reb Meir, that I could say that he overcharged me because he's masnal mashakasa b'Torah. The Torah says leisainu, and therefore he can't stipulate against what it says in the Torah. V'Shmuel damak Rabbi Yehuda, and Shmuel's like Rabbi Yehuda that since it's a davar shebamamain, he could be masnal mashakasa b'Torah. The Tanya, ha'im Elisha, if Chatzkel says to Cheryl, Hariyat mekudeshes liyur mekudeshes to me almanashe ein loch alai sher ksus v'aina, on the condition that you don't have a claim from me for food, clothing, and intimacy, Harizuma Kudeshes, Utunoi Batal. He has to give her all the things. Give her a mayor. Rabbi Yehuda Bedover Sheba Mamain. In the matter of money, that's the food and the clothing, Tunoi Kayim. So here too, the Gemara wants to suggest that that's why, since the overcharge is a matter of money, the condition is Kayim, and therefore I can't have a claim on Yisrael. Amalach Rav, so Rav says no. Anod Amri Afilu Rabbi Yehuda. I say that the Tanai that Yisrael made is batal, and I could claim overcharge Afilu Rabbi Yehuda. Adkan like on Rabbi Yehuda Hasam. Rabbi Yehuda says only over there by the woman, by Cheryl. Ella diyoda v'kamachla. She knew that she was due to have food and clothing, and when he said on the condition, when Chatzkel said on the condition not to give it, she knew that she was entitled to it, and therefore when she agreed, she waived it. And by a davar shebamammon, she could waive it. But over here, I didn't know that Yisrael was cheating me. He said, Al Menashe ein l'chayna. But I figured Yisrael is an upstanding guy. I didn't know. Did I know that I should forgive it? I could hold even according to a mayor who says Tanoi batal, and therefore if Tanoi batal, if Tanoi batal, I should be able to make a claim. And Shmuel says that I'm not able to make a claim. Why? Because Adkan like come Remeir Hasam that Tana Batal Ella Devadai Ka'akar. Because there I definitively uprooted what it says in the Torah. You're not allowed to definitively uproot what it says in the Torah. Aval Hacha, but over here, Yisrael didn't know he was overcharging. He's in Tannersville. So he didn't know. And therefore, since he didn't know, he wasn't deliberately uprooting in the Torah, then his condition is upheld. Amar Rav Anan, the Didi Mifrishali Minei de Mar Shmuel, to me it was explained by Mar Shmuel. Remember, it's Shmuel's opinion, who says that, it's Shmuel's opinion that if he says, if Yisrael says to me on the condition that there's no Ainah, then I don't have a claim of Ainah. But now Shmuel is more subtle, and he takes out the Talmudic scalpel, the only scalpel that we should know. Amar Rav Anan, l'didi mifresh leminei demar Shmuel, ha'omer lechaveiroi al menas she'ein loch olai oinah. If somebody says, in this case, Yisrael says to me, on the condition that you don't have a claim of oinah, then ein lo yoylav oinah. Then he doesn't. Then I can't have a claim upon him oinah. But if he says, look at the difference. If he says al menashe ein boy oinah, if he says I'm selling you this chess set on the condition that there isn't in it overcharge. In other words, he's saying I'm selling it to you, guaranteeing you that I'm giving you fair market price. Then hariyesh bayana, because then the condition wasn't fulfilled. He said that there isn't in it an overcharge, and then I find out that he charged me $200 for a $36 chess set. So then there is enough. Meisvei So now the Gemara says, Hanoisei v'anoisein ba'amana. If one does business with trust, that means I give Rich merchandise to sell, and I trust him that whatever he sells, I trust his judgment. Also, v'aymer l'chaveiroi al manas she'ein loch alai oina, or if I if Rich tells me, no, if I tell Rich on the condition that you don't have a claim on me of overcharge, ein lo yanav oina. So now the problem is, Rav says that both Reb Meir and Reb Yehuda agree that in this case there would be oina. So the Rav da Amar Ano da Amre Afilu Reb Yehuda, that I say even according to Reb Yehuda, who says that by She'era Ksusa Vainasa he has to provide it because it's Masnal Mashet Kasa B'Taira. So then who holds over here? If it's not Reb Meir and Reb Yehuda, who's the author over here that holds that there's oina? Hamani. So Amar Abaye says you're right. That proves clearly Machvar to Rav Amakura Meir. Therefore, it's better to say that Machvar to Rav Amakura Meir, that Rav says like Reb Meir, and therefore, since it's Masnal Masha Kosa B'Torah, Reb Meir holds that the Tanai is batal. So here also he stipulated against the Torah, so the Tanai is batal, and therefore there is oina. V'Shmuel Damar Reb Yehuda, and therefore the opinion over here that ein lo yalav oina is going according to Reb Yehuda. Rav Amar lo kasha, kan b'stam, kan b'mefarish. You see, this is a new variable. A person could say, if he tells him clearly the amount, and he says that on the condition that there's no oina in giving him the value, then we say that the seller is giving him a gift. And that he could do. Says the Gemara, Rav Amar Kasha, kan b'stam. One is talking about where no value is given, kan b'mefarish, and one is talking about where a value is given. The Tanya, Bamed Vamamurim, you say that ain't lo oina of oina, on the condition that there's no oina, there's still oina because you can't stipulate against the Torah. That's only if no price is given. Avo b'mefarish, where it said expressly, what's an example? The seller says to the buyer, this item, this chess set, which I'm selling you for 200, I know it's only worth 100, but I need cash. So if he says, on the condition that there's no taina, there's no overcharge, then ein lo chayla. Rashi says, because since he told him outright the amount, I know it's worth 200, I know it's only worth 100, I'm charging 200 because I need the money. If the person is maskim, he has no taina because he's giving him a matana. The buyer that says to the seller, I know that it's worth 200, but I'm short on cash. On the condition that you don't have a taina of. So then here the seller is giving the buyer a gift. so then then there's no overcharge. Now the daf ends, we go out with a bang a little bit. Tan Rabbanan. Hanoisei v'anoisein ba'amona. If I do business with Rich, with trust, now I give him two types of merchandise. I give him merchandise that's zvina charifa, that's quick to sell, and on that merchandise, he's going to sell it very quickly. And I give him another type of merchandise that's not so easy to sell. And there I tell him to get what he can. And there he sells it, he sells it slowly. And I tell him, so what I want to tell him is he doesn't have to pay me until he sells everything. He doesn't have to give me the money until he sells everything. Now, the stuff that he's selling that's not easy to sell, I tell him that he could sell it at market. Anything that he gets more, he could keep. The stuff that's easy, I want the price that he's gonna get. Now, why would he sell me? Well, we understand why he would sell the shvacha stuff, because he could get more maybe, and the more he keeps. But the stuff that's Zvina Charifa, I want the market value which he's going to get. What does he have to gain by doing that? So the answer is, it could be that he gains, that he doesn't have to give me the money until he sells everything. So that means he has a cash flow of all that money that he could use, he could invest in the meantime from the easy stuff. So I want that to be his payment for selling the easy stuff. I can't do that. Why can't I do that? Because if I do that, that means for waiting to get the money back, I'm benefiting by paying him for doing it for me. That's ribbis. Again, if I make the payment for selling the easy stuff, the fact that he's holding on to the money until later, so that means I'm gaining for him owing me the money by paying him with that usage of the money for selling the easy stuff. You're not allowed to do that. That's ribbis. So therefore, what arrangement do I have to make? So the Gemara says, Tan Rabbanan, Anoise v'anoisim ba'amona, harizelo yechoshev es hara ba'amona. You can't figure that the slow stuff, he gets the markup, there's hayofa b'shava, but he doesn't get anything for selling the easy stuff, but rather it's just the fact that he could hold on to the money. Either we make up that everything he gets to keep, if he sells and makes a little extra, or both of them he gets, he has to give me the money that he gets. Now, if he has to give me the money that he gets, then why should he do the business? So we'll see that he's selling hemp, and out of every 100 hemp shirts, he gets 4 shirts. So if he's doing a lot of, big number, that's how he makes his money. Now, for porting it from my house to sell it, for carting it, I have to pay him. And schar gomel, if he has to pay a camel driver, I pay him for the camel driver. And schar pundik, if he has to stay at an inn in the night to sell this stuff, I have to pay him for the innkeeper. But schar atzmai eino noitel. but he doesn't get paid for the actual peddling. Shekvar nasan le schara mishalem. I already paid him in full. Schara mishalem chayavle. Where did I pay him in full? Amra papa b'tzadruye diyave arba lameya. When he's selling hemp, I give him 4 hemp shirts for every 100. So if he's selling tens of thousands, that's how he makes his money. We did the Mishnah already, Rabbi say. So we did the Mishnah already. I will tell you that for those that are not here in Fairways, I highly recommend to watch Shabbos HaGadol Drasha 5784. It will be on Torah Anytime, probably by 11 p.m. tonight. It is already on YouTube. It is already on Facebook. It is already on Kol HaLashon, and it's a wonderful share. I do recommend everybody to go to a Shabbos HaGadol Drasha, and if anybody still wants to sell their chametz through me, please get me your shtaris. And also, Matzah Shabbos shir is at 9:50, 9:50, and Mishnah Yomis is already on. Thank you very much for joining us, and have a wonderful night.
Sunday night.
50 and 51. What?
Sunday night.
Sunday night is regular time.
Just make his comments.
Oh, wait a second, Rabbi say, wait a second.
Sunday night's the pizza.
Sunday night.
25.
Sunday night. Oh, yeah, Sunday night. So what time would Marv be over Sunday? Marv will be
Grab the schedule.
Marv will be on over Sunday about
8:15 around.
8:15. Shir Sunday night will be at 9:15.